Katie the Novel Stitcher. It is Saturday, July 29th, and this is Flosstube number 23. This is a channel where I talk all about the wonderful craft of cross stitch, showing off what I'm stitching on, my starts, my whips, my plans, and I also talk about books, and that always comes at the very end of the video. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will like what you see and consider liking the video, commenting, tell me what you're stitching on, and subscribing. And of course, if you're returning, thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy to be with you again. I love reading all of your comments. I love interacting with you and having this wonderful, wonderful community of stitching friends. So I really appreciate you being here. If anyone is not yet subscribed and you would consider subscribing, I hope you will. I'm coming up on my 1-year floss anniversary over Labor Day weekend, actually, and I'm nearing 2,000, and it would be fun to get to 2,000 subscribers. It's not about the numbers. I'm happy to spend time with anyone who would be willing to watch my videos, but it is always fun when you're doing these weeks in and weeks out to have a goal. So if we could get there, that would be really fun. So if you're not subscribed, please consider, or if you know anyone who would enjoy my channel, let them know about me. Life plans. I know it's been a few weeks since my last video. Usually I try to film every 2 weeks, and things just got busy and I just wasn't really in the mood to film last weekend, so I just didn't, because there's no reason to make yourself do something when you're not feeling up for it. I love visiting with you all, and I want to make sure that I am present and happy and wanting to be here and wanting to film and having the time and the headspace and all that. As you all know, my fiance Alex and I are planning our wedding, and we're also house hunting. And these are all good things, and I'm very lucky and very blessed to be marrying the person I love and to be looking for our future home, but it's just stressful. Mostly the house hunting. The wedding is coming along pretty well. Most of that's together, but it's just the worst time to be looking for a house right now. And so if it doesn't work out, we can rent, we can get an apartment, we can rent a townhome. You know, it's not the end of the world if we can't get a house, but we do want a house. I mean, I've lived in apartments for 13 years. I'm tired of having people live above me and below me and next to me and all of the things. Someone down the hallway has started a marijuana smoking habit. And while I'm fine with you smoking what you want in your own apartment, it's seeping into the hallway and sometimes into my apartment, so I'm dealing with that, which is gross. I'm sorry, it smells really bad. Again, do what you want in your own space. That's totally fine, but when it affects other people, it's not so great. So I might have to call and just see if there could be something that can be done about that. And so if we could own something and like have our own space and have a nice house, it would be great, but things are very expensive. It's competitive. There's not a lot of retail or houses even out there. A lot of people aren't selling because interest rates are so high and they keep going up, and we're looking in a pretty competitive high value market just because of where I work and where Alex works, and the need to be halfway or as close as we can get to halfway between our jobs. And I don't mind if my commute is a little bit longer. It's his commute that's more important, because he works longer hours sometimes than I do, especially during tax season. And so we're just trying to find the right balance and find the right place. It'll all work out. We will find something, or we will rent for a year, and then hopefully things will improve and we'll be able to get back out there. But right now it's a lot. So try not to stress too much, but it's one of those things where it just takes a lot of mental headspace. Like, I'm stitching and I'm just thinking about like the house, and I'm checking my email and seeing if new listings have come through, and Googling stuff about house buying and talking with my parents and talking with Alex. And so it's just taken a lot of my time away from stitching, and like my mental headspace to like feel happy while I'm stitching, when I'm just thinking about all these other things. And it's easier to just kind of put on mindless TV and do that instead, or watch House Hunters and see like what other people are dealing with, is also kind of helpful, because I know it's like fake drama, but they're always arguing, and luckily for Alex and I, like, we're very much on the same page, so that makes me feel a little bit better that at least we're not at odds over what we're looking for. It's just actually finding what we like best. So that is what's going on. It will be a very busy end of summer, beginning of fall into the wedding, which is December 2nd. So if I'm here more sporadically, that's why. And I will always put on my Instagram when I am or am not filming. And then there's also like, you can create like little comments or community posts in YouTube, and I'll mention there whether I'm filming or not on any particular week, so you know why I'm absent. It's just because of the good things that we've got going on, but the good things that can be a little bit stressful. So let's actually talk about stitching now. And I think the thing I'm going to show next, I was also not stressed about, but I wanted to focus on this next piece that's a finish that I'm going to show you, because I really wanted to get it done. And so now that it's done, I'm like super happy, and I feel like it's opening up me to like just stitching on what I want, when I want. And that thing is the Black Butterfly Sampler by Shaded Stitchery. And I stitched this for my new little baby niece, who was born just a few weeks ago, baby Z. And it's so pretty. I'm so happy with how this turned out. So there it is. Doesn't it look good? It's gonna be so pretty. And so I focused a lot on this over the last 3 weeks because I really just wanted to get it done. I'm not, probably not visiting my brother and my sister-in-law until September, just with the timing of when my parents are going and what they've got going on and what I've got going on. But my aunt and I are gonna go in mid-September. They live in New York City, so we're gonna go to New York, spend the weekend and visit with them, and I'll get to see my niece and present this to her, which gives me time to get a frame, because I might need to order a custom frame. I haven't measured this to see if I could even find something. I'll probably just order something online. I'm thinking a light green, and so I'll give you a closer look. This is on a 28 count, just white lugana. I used Classic Colorworks Black Coffee, and then I did Z for her first name in Barrel Cactus from Classic Colorworks, just to create a little difference there for her first letter of her first name. And I put her birth date, July 5th, right below it, 1/1, just to add that, and I think it's perfect. And I think to kind of match this, I might get like a minty green or a light green frame, because I think that would look really pretty to have it be in a colorful frame. So I'm really happy with this. So if anyone's interested in stitching this, it turned out so beautifully. You can't really tell kind of as you go along how it's gonna look, and once you put the back stitching in the butterflies, and I just think this is gorgeous. I know a bunch of a few other floss tubers are working on it. I know some people started this as part of, I think, Bridgen's 1-year Flossiversary, and they're doing all different colors. So check out Bridgen. I want to say Marjorie might be working on it. Megan the Seattle Stitcher, all of those gals, I think they're all working on it. So you can check out their channels to see. But that's mine, and she's gonna love it. And I did send a picture to my brother and sister-in-law, and they were very excited. So I'm excited to meet my niece. Oh, also Cross Stitch Kate just has a new baby nephew, so that's exciting. We're both kind of in the new auntie role together. So she said she's gonna stitch something for him. So it's really exciting to be able to stitch things for other people and do that kind of thing to celebrate. So I'm very happy that one's done. I did mention in my last video 3 weeks ago that, and I don't even think I showed this because I had made a mistake, and someone was like, oh, you should tell us what you did, like be honest or whatever, and I don't mind doing that. This butterfly was finished, and none of the other stuff was done. I was just at this point with this butterfly, and I stitched it 1 stitch too far this way. They're supposed to line up and be even, and it was 1 stitch too far this way. And at first I was like, it's fine. Like, you're not gonna notice that this doesn't line up. And then it kept bothering me, and it kept bothering me, and then it would be too close to this border here. So I would have to like fudge that over and then fudge everything over. And it's for my niece, it's not for me, so I don't want to have it be messed up. So I had to restitch the entire butterfly, frog it and restitch it. So that made me a little cranky with this project, but I did it, and I'm glad I did, because now it is perfect. So that is Black Butterfly Sampler by Shaded Stitchery. You can find her on Gumroad. It's similar to Etsy. So yeah, check her stuff out. She's got beautiful patterns. And she's on Instagram too. And then let's go into starts. So I have 2 new starts. And the first new start is a Teresa Kogut. And this is Whimsy Witch's Angry House. Been in the mood to stitch some fall. It's been so hot. I think we're all probably getting ready for fall. And so I've been wanting to stitch this one. I think it came out at market in March maybe. And it's just so cute. I'll hold it a little closer. Not the best photo, it's a little blurry, but I just like her little smile. And then I like Teresa Kogut tells little stories. So she's here with her cat and she's so excited to go trick-or-treating, and she's got this little excited smile on her face. And then the house back here is angry, and he's angry because she gets to go trick-or-treating and have fun, and he has to stay behind and actually like handle the trick-or-treaters that come to the door. So he's a little upset that he doesn't get to go and have a night of fun. He has to stay home and handle the trick-or-treaters. So I thought that's cute. So this one I'm stitching on 36 count cappuccino by Fiber on a Whim, which I went back and forth on whether I liked I did 1/2 and whether I liked the coverage, but I'm actually really happy with it. And I'm using the called for DMC. So I just have her hat done. Sorry, there's a little dangling thread, but just her hat and the start of her face and some of her curly hair. So this is gonna be super cute. And I do like this fabric a lot. So is that the front or the back? I'm showing you the back. Whoops, there we go. Let's look at the front instead. So yeah, it'll be super cute. And I am missing some of the color for her hair, so that is why she's not a little further along, because I do have to go to Michael's and pick up that DMC. I love how every time you think like, I must have close to every single DMC, and then you're like out of this one color, and you're like, why would I not have that shade of gray? But you don't, because there's a lot more DMC than I guess we all think, even though I feel like we're probably like constantly buying it and feel like we should have all the colors after a certain point, but we don't. And then my next start is this Joyous Season by Plum Street. I want to say I saw this one last year on Annie the Proper Stitcher's channel, and just was like, something about it just spoke to me, and I was just like, I really want to stitch that. I like Repeat the Sounding Joy. It's from Joy to the World, and I just like that big brick house and just all the little trees. I'm probably not going to do this flag here. I think she has probably the American flag or some other flags charted too. But I think it's just random to have the flag just kind of sitting there. So I'm probably just gonna do another little tree in that spot and skip the flag. But otherwise, I'll do it all called for. I'll use called for DMC, or am using called for DMC. And I did initially think I was gonna stitch this by Fox and Rabbit Up in the Attic. That's the called for. Now the Up in the Attic I got is kind of like a deep brownish red. Not super deep, but like a brownish red, which this looks more pink, right? And so I was like, well, I could do it on the called for and just see. And I did a floss toss, but I was worried that since it's a brownish red and the house is red, that not that it would blend in, the house would still stick out, but I don't know if it would pop, and I don't know if it would be like too weird to do something Christmassy on like a brownish red. I just wasn't sure. And so I decided, like, I really love this pattern. I want it to turn out really beautifully, so why would I do it on a fabric where I'm unsure? Because you probably have to start like getting to the house till you decided like, oh, this is working, or oh, this is not. And so I just decided, all right, let's not risk it. And I am doing it on my favorite fabric, which is 36 count Steinbeck by Needle and Flax. And so that is my progress, 1/2. And I'm using called for DMC. There is Week Style Works and DMC is how it's charted, but there's not really a need for a ton of variegation. The house is all broken up, and so I figured let's just do it in DMC, and I just have Repeat and my dangling thread. But I think it's gonna look really pretty on this fabric. Sorry if there's a bit of there's some sun coming in. It's like really bright sun, and it's like right there, so I have the shades drawn, but yeah, I think that's gonna look really pretty. I'm really excited. I will say there's like, you can probably barely tell, there's a snowflake. Oh, there we go. There's a snowflake up there. The white might not pop super pop for some of the smaller details like the little snowflakes that it has, but there's not a ton of white and it's just the snowflakes, so that doesn't bother me too much. I also will say there is a black border and it's just a straight normal border all the way around, and I'm not going to stitch that. I don't think it really adds much to the pattern. I don't think you really need the border, and then when you're trying to frame it, it's easy for borders like that to look crooked and to be hard to straighten them, so I figured I'd just take the work out of that and not do the border. So that's Repeat the Sounding Joy, or no, sorry, This Joyous Season, and this is a stitch along. So that's why I decided to start this. It started on July 25th for Christmas in July. Stitch along is being held by Mrs. Smith Stitches, and stitching is elementary. Mrs. Smith Stitches, and stitching is elementary, and they have wonderful floss tubes. Please check them out. They're so wonderful to watch, and it's great to stitch along with them. I'm so excited to see their progress on this. They're stitching it on different fabric too, to see like the differences in the fabric everyone is choosing. And the hashtag, if you have this pattern and would like to join in, is Stitch This Joyous Season. Stitch This Joyous Season. So I will tag Mrs. Smith Stitches and Stitching is Elementary below. Please check out their floss tubes. I know Mrs. Smith Stitches just released a new video, I think this morning. So definitely give them a watch if you haven't checked them out already. So I'm really excited to be working on that one for Christmas, and that'll get, I hope, some good time in the next couple weeks. So those are my two starts. So let's move on to whips. First whip is my stitch along, which quite a few of you are joining in. I'm trying to find all your pictures. I think you all know Instagram has kind of changed how you track hashtags. When you click on the hashtag, it just shows like top posts or recent top posts instead of like all posts, which is weird. Like, I don't know why they make some of these changes or how they decide to make some of these changes. But we're not, in the Flosstube world, we're not loving it because it makes it hard for us to track every post. So hopefully, if you are joining the stitch along, I have caught your post. If not, please tag me, and that'll ensure I see it. I am novel_stitcher on Instagram. So please follow me there if you don't, and tag me if you're doing the stitch along. And it is Enchanted Quaker by Luminous Fiber Arts. It's so cute. I'm loving stitching on this. I need to spend a little more time. I haven't spent as much time as I would like on this one. And so this one I'm doing on a 40 count slate by Fiber on a Whim. I am using DMC 310. I actually don't think I need the board. I'm using DMC 310, and I'm going to be using, for some of the elements, a beautiful selection of Classic Colorworks. These are just so pretty. I love these colors. In my opinion, these are very Halloween-y, so I'm loving this one. So this is my progress so far. I can even fold it up smaller. So probably want to make more progress on this, but I'm really loving stitching on it. I like Quakers. It's just fun to see these little motifs come together, stitch the words and those flowers, little spider. I think I stitched the spider a little bit wrong, but he's fine. So I'm really enjoying this. So this red is beautiful. This is Bing Cherry by Classic Colorworks. So that's the first element that I did in a different color. So it was fun to start with a different color and see it come together. So again, 40 count slate, Fiber and Whim, 1/2, Luminous Fiber Arts, Enchanted Quaker. And it's just Enchanted Quaker Sal. If you want to join in at any time. If you haven't yet, this is an easy stitch along. Really no parameters. You know, if you're not in the Halloween stitching mood, but you might be in a month, just use the hashtag, because then everyone can see what color you're using. If you're switching up, a lot of people are using a variegated floss, which is really cool. I know Heather, the 20-minute stitcher, is working on this one. I think she started more toward the middle, so she started with this cute little cat. So you can kind of see a different angle with the stitching on her channel, but this is gonna be a lot of fun. It is bigger than I thought. It's 124 by 254. And I think because this booklet is so tiny and it looks so small here, I was like, this is gonna take no time at all. This is tiny, but that's silly because there's a ton of, there is like a lot of little elements in there. So it is gonna take a bit of time, but I don't know if it'll be finished by this Halloween, probably not. but I'm definitely gonna dedicate more time to this one because it's turning out beautifully. And I like this fabric. It's a nice light gray, very light gray, slightly bluish gray, with nice modeling, very light modeling, which I like. And yeah, it's a little tight. And this is the first 40 count fiber on a Whim I've done. So not like the quickest stitching, but I'm getting used to 40 count. I don't mind it too much. So that's Enchanted Quaker style. And then the next whip is Christmas in July, Prairie Schooler, Snowy Night, 2023 Santa. I love him. He's so cute. I really love the candy canes. It's just such a cute little detail, little candy canes in his belt. This is my first Prairie Schooler. It will not be my last. I do want to stitch, not all, I think Liz Matthews, Hello from Liz Matthews, wants to stitch all of them. I think they started releasing these yearly Santas in the 1980s, the late 1980s. I'll just do the ones that I like best, and then I have to figure out how I want to finish then. If I want to do them all the same, I want to make them pillows or finish them all the same way, I will have to think about that. But for now, he is being done on a 32 count raw linen, 2/2, and I'm using the called for DMC. I need to finish his hand. He's missing his hand. I don't want Santa to not have a hand. He needs his hands. But he's coming along well. I've gotten a lot of stitching. I like this little nurse hoop. Just the size of this with this little pattern. I made a working copy, but it's just nice to just like, it's just easy to pick up. Like if I'm working from home, like during my lunch break, or if I have a little bit of time in between meetings, but not enough time to really settle in to work on something, I can just pick this up, like leave it on my desk next to my work computer, like pick it up, put a few stitches in, and then move on to my next meeting or my next task. It's really light. So I like the smallest nurse hoop. I don't know what, I think it's just called the small, or the extra small. I'm not 100% sure, but I like it a lot. And so there he is. And I got this little needle minder from Two Needles Pulling Thread. Had a little giveaway at Christmas last year, and I got the little needle minder. So, yep, he's cute. I want to see if I can finish him by the end of August. I think it's possible. It is a lot of stitching, but the fill-in will be easy. I should probably do the outline now that I'm past the candy canes and just fill in that way. The snowflakes might take a bit of time. They're not too intricate, but there's a lot of them. And then the back stitching. But I should probably be able to finish it by the end of the month. That would be nice. And so that is Santa. And then the next one is Home Sweet Home. It's another Teresa Kogut. This is one where you have to be part of her Patreon to get this pattern. I am part of her Patreon. She releases 2, I think it's 2, or is it 3? Might be, I'm at the highest tier just because I love her design. So it's 2 or 3 free patterns every month, and then a little $5 ornament. And then she has like a special store where all her previous Patreon releases, you can go in and buy them, and then you get a discount to her Etsy store. To me, it's a really great deal if you like her style. Sorry, throat gets dry when you're talking too much in the morning. And she does lives and different videos. I think she has a live on Thursday, so I might check that out. So yeah, if you're interested and you like Teresa Kogut, check out her Patreon, but this is Home Sweet Home. I'm excited to see on Tuesday what she releases for her August Patreon, but I really love this one. This is on a 32 count Dove lugana. I am using DMC, mostly the called for, but I brightened up the yellows in the bees and in the beehive a little. So I made some good progress. I forget exactly where we were at. I know I worked on more of the border. I probably didn't have this flower finished. I definitely didn't have the beehive very far along. So, you know, I don't think I made a ton of progress since you last saw this, but I think I made a little bit, but it's so cute. So this is definitely a goal to get this done at the end of the month. And I forgot to say for WhipGo for August, for July, it's still July. All right, I'll talk about August in my plans. WhipGo for July was Number 21 was to work on Halloween for 6 hours. So Enchanted Quaker, knocked that out, plus the Whimsy, which is Halloween too. And then I had number 9 was to work on a summer pattern for 5 hours, and that was this one. So I put 5 hours into this one. So achieved my whip go for July, and then whip go numbers for August were announced, and I'll talk about that in plans. So yeah, I like this one a lot. This is pretty. I'm gonna have to figure out how I want to finish that. That one might be like a white frame, I think, with the blue. Would look really nice. And then one more whip, and I'm gonna say this is probably my favorite whip that I worked on in the past few weeks. Possibly among my top 5 favorite whips that I have going right now, which I think is around 25, which isn't too many, not too bad. And some of them are small and could be finished pretty quickly. I would just have to actually put the time in. But this is, let me show the pattern first. Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird. I know a lot of you in the comments said you're either working on this, have worked on it, or want to work on it. If you haven't worked on it yet, like I could not recommend this more highly. I don't know, I just love stitching on this, and I think what caused me to put this down for a little bit and not pick it up again was the specialty stitches. I don't love doing satin stitch, and the top border was satin stitch, and then there's this border under the flowers is satin stitch. I don't know, I just don't love doing it. So I think I just had to get past that, and then now that I'm moving down, I'm not gonna hit any satin stitch again till down here. So I'm good. There are other specialty stitches that I won't mind as much, Smyrnas and stuff, but I don't know why. Satin stitch just, I don't like it. I don't like it. And this is also on Steinbeck, 36 count, Needle and Flax, using called for Fancy and DMC. And this is a good example if you can't always afford a ton of fancy floss, or to do something, is it on the back? No. Do something that this has a lot of colors, and that can get expensive, and things can be expensive. So this is a good example of, I can show you now, and I'm not even gonna tell you in this moment when I show it, which is fancy and which is DMC, and you probably won't be able to tell. So this is Oh Joyous Day. Now, of course, some of it you can tell it's fancy if there's a little bit of variegation, but I think for the most part, you can't really tell. I do have to fix the bottom of this one. I messed this up. I made it like too long or something, and it was gonna hit this border, so I just have to like fudge it and make up a little bit of a different bottom for that one. So I do have to do that. But I love how this is coming along. Let me put it on the board. Might be a little easier to show it. I do need to get one of those like bitty boards that Fat Quarter Shop sells that you see people use, where it's fabric and then the middle is just felt or something, and it makes it easier to hold these up. But I'm trying not to spend money right now. I do not want to spend money while we're house hunting. So this, there we go. That is Oh Joyous Day, and it's just beautiful. And I get to start on the letters. That little funky A down there was fun to stitch. I like letters that are kind of like different. And so yeah, I don't think you can entirely tell the difference between the fancy floss and the DMC, and it doesn't look weird, you know? It's not like you can be like, oh, that looks different, that fabric looks different, or floss looks different than the floss next to it. So that is Oh Joyous Day. I'm loving this one, and I really want to dedicate more time to this one. I don't think I could finish it this year, but I think this would be beautiful to hang in whatever house or townhome or apartment or whatever Alex and I get. This would be a really pretty one. So I am loving stitching on this one. Love Needle and Flax, love the Steinbeck. The only thing I changed up is this border. So this border on the sides is different colors in the pattern, and I think it's more of a brownish color. And I just didn't love the DMC. I don't recall what it was, but I didn't love it. And so I just like went into Stash and was like, what would work for that? And so I picked out, and my flosses are a mess, so I apologize for this, but Week Styleworks Kudzu. Because that's got really good variegation. So even if I'm not doing like 2 different colors for that border, I think that'll turn out really well. And this is how messy I am in my life. Like this is a good analogy for my life right now. Some are on floss drops, some are bobbins, some I just stuck the skein on the ring. I need to clean this up. It'll probably make me want to work on this project more if I literally just put everything on nicer floss drops, which I should probably buy a set of like actually nice floss drops, but that's okay. So yeah, Oh Joyous Day, Blackbird Designs. And that's all of my whips. So that was 2 starts, 4 whips, and a finish, which I don't know if it'll be a fully finished by the next time I visit with you. I have to see about the frame because I want to find the perfect frame and frame it all nicely, but Black Butterfly Slam Footer was definitely like a yes. I wanted to get that done and it looks perfect. So I'm very excited for that. And I did have giveaways in my last episode, so let's announce the winners of the giveaways. I will go into plans and then we're going to talk about books for a little bit, which you can move on when we get to the bookish content if you're not interested. So for giveaways, if you won, hopefully you're 18 or older, because that's how old you need to be to send me your address, and just email me novelstitcher, one word, at gmail.com. novelstitcher@gmail.com. Send me your address and I will try to get this out to you as quick as possible. I'm not the best at getting to the post office, but I promise you will receive it if you want. So the first one, which was this fabric and this pattern, this was number 1. This goes to Charlie Stitches. So Charlie Stitches, send me an email and thank you for entering and congratulations. Number 2 was the Lovebird Bouquet pattern along with the floss, and this one goes to Katie White. Katie White, please send me an email, novelstitcher@gmail.com, with your address and I will get that out to you. And then number 3 goes to Leanne Leonard. Leanne Leonard, you won the Cross Stitcher magazine and the Witch's Brew Shannon Christine pattern. So Leanne Leonard, send me an email. Thank you all for entering. It's fun to do giveaways and to be able to send you all some stitchy treats and hopefully bring a smile to your face. And so plans. I have a few plans coming up, one of which I wanted to have 3 starts because I really wanted to start this one and lots going on, so I didn't start it yet, but I want to stitch Resting Beach Face, and I want to stitch this for my Aunt Helen. She is my mom's best friend from high school, and she is also my godmother, so she's my unrelated aunt, but we still call her our aunt. And she's just kind of had a rough time of it past couple years. She had cancer. She's recovered from the cancer. She's in remission, but she's had some lingering issues from the cancer treatments. She had some blood clots in her legs that she needed surgery for, and just other health things going on. So I really wanted to stitch something for her. If you're the good vibes or praying type, say a little prayer for my Aunt Helen that she gets better, especially for the wedding. She was gonna come up a few weeks ago and we were gonna go shopping. She was gonna buy me earrings to wear on my wedding day, and she's just not feeling well enough to make the drive here. So unfortunately we had to postpone that, and I just want to make sure she feels better and can come to the wedding, because I would be sad to not have her there. So I'm gonna stitch this for her because they have a shore house. Her and her husband have a shore house in New Jersey, and she loves to go to the beach and she loves to read and she has a good sense of humor. So I thought that this would be one that would bring a smile to her face. And her hair is gray now, but she was blonde, so I think I'll do the hair blonde to make it look more like her. And I want to stitch this up pretty quickly because I do want to get it to her before summer's over, so she can put it up in her beach house while she's still there. And I'm going to stitch it on the 32 count Dove. It's the same color as the Home Sweet Home. I think that'll work for a blue background for the beach. So I gotta get a couple of the DMC I'm missing for this one, which is why I didn't get started on it. So I hopefully will be able to start it tonight. I'm gonna go to Michael's later today when Alex and I hang out in a bit. So that will be for my aunt. And then other plans, Whip Go for August, 6 hours of summer stitching. So I will make that Home Sweet Home and maybe try to finish that one. And then that was number 18. So for me, that was summer for 6 hours. And then number 24 was called, so that's a sampler for 8 hours. So I'm gonna work on Oh Joyous Day more. 8 hours should be a really nice bit of time on that one. So that will be August. And for those a little unfamiliar, WhipGo is like a bingo board. You put whatever you want in the numbered squares. You could be specific whips. I did themes. I did a couple specific whips and mostly themes like summer, winter, fall, Halloween, Christmas, that kind of thing. Jessie Marie Does Stuff came up with this. On the 25th of every month, she'll call the next month and say, you know, numbers 18 and 24. So you go to 18 and 24 and you do whatever you wrote down to do in that month. And so, yeah, and I did get a bingo or a WhipGo going down that way because the middle square was called, which everyone would have got because everyone does the same numbers. But, and this is not beautiful. Some people have beautiful WhipGo boards. Mine is like a child did it, but it's fine. So that's been fun. I've been enjoying doing that. I don't know if I'll do it next year. I have some specific plans on how I want to tackle my whips next year because I'm doing a lot of starts this summer and maybe into the fall, and then I'm doing a winter of whips. And so I have certain ideas in mind of how in January, February, and March, I'm going to tackle my whips. So I'm going to do like more like a pick a whip, WhipGo kind of thing of my own creation. A little bit similar to, I think it's Marjorie Made is doing like a pick a whip where you put the whips in a jar and you pick them. I'm doing something like that, but I'm adding a slight twist to it. So yeah, I think that's all the plans. So let's move on. Well, if you're only here for the stitching, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please let me know what you were stitching on during this video. How is your summer going? How are you doing? Another question I wanted to ask that I forgot. I'm enjoying Oh Joyous Day so much. What's my next Blackbird design? What else should I stitch from them? Any recommendations for a slightly smaller one that I should pick up and start soon? Because I really want to stitch more Blackbird. So if you like Blackbird, let me know what your favorite is, because I want to get more of their patterns. Other than that, let me know what you're stitching, what your plans are. Are you ready for fall, or are you still in summer? Is it really hot there? It's hot here, but it's hotter elsewhere, I'm sure. So just let me know how you're doing. Leave me a comment. Love reading them, and have a wonderful rest of your week or day, and stay cool. And let's move on to books. So the first book I'm going to talk about is an audiobook. So it's Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This has been getting a lot of buzz, maybe not recently, but I think it came out earlier this year or late last year. But a lot of people were talking about it and recommending it, so I thought I would check it out. And I am definitely enjoying it. Audiobook, I would say I'm a little under a halfway through. I'm not entirely sure. I think I have like 6 or 7 hours of the audiobook left. It's a slightly longer one, but this is about 2 friends, Sam and Sadie, who meet when they're kids or teenagers, and they meet in the hospital because Sadie's sister has cancer. So she's there with her sister in the hospital, and Sam has gotten into a really bad car accident and is going through physical therapy and the care he needs after the accident. And they meet because there's a room for kids who are in the hospital with like video game consoles, and so they both end up in there one day and play video games and talk about video games and find this really great bond. But at some point they have a falling out, and then they come back together in college, and they end up going to colleges in Boston and seeing each other on the streets of Boston, and then becoming friends again. And they have this shared love of video games. They're both in school with studying computer design and video game programming, and decide to create a video game together. And it's kind of about their relationship, about their struggles. I think there's kind of there's a love there between them, but it's complicated, and they're building this video game together. I don't think you have to know a ton about video games to enjoy it. I will say if you're not interested in video games whatsoever, you might not enjoy it as much. It doesn't get technical, but they are building a video game together, and right now where I'm at, it's a big part of them, like what should it look like? What should it feel like? What's the plot of the video game? So I think you have to have some understanding of video games, have played them, and at least have an appreciation or have enjoyed them in the past to appreciate this book. I used to play video games as a teenager. I don't anymore. Well, I did play Animal Crossing during the pandemic, but that was like, I needed some sort of distraction. But otherwise, I don't play them much, but I'm still enjoying the story. I really like the characters. I really like the writing. I like the kind of like them being creative together and brainstorming and seeing how a video game would kind of come together. So I'm enjoying that one. So for now, I would recommend it. Obviously, I'm not done with it, so take any recommendation from me with a grain of salt if I have yet to finish the book, because I could end up hating it in the end if something weird happens. But I've heard good things about this one, and I'm enjoying it so far. The next book that I'm reading that's a physical book is Lady Tan's Circle of Women. And this one is by Lisa C., and she's one of my favorite authors. And this one is, I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't recommend it as the first book you ever read by Lisa C. if you're interested in checking her out. She writes historical fiction, mostly set in different Asian or Pacific Islander countries, which I like because a lot of historical fiction can easily be about World War II or World War I or the Civil War, so mostly set in Europe or America instead of Asia. And this is about two young women, Yunxian and Mei Ling, and they are both kind of practicing medicine in the ways that you can back in this time period, which is a time where a lot of medicine was respected and there were women in medicine, but as through all time in all countries, it wasn't as prominent. There weren't as many female doctors, and there were certain things that Mei Ling, as a lower class midwife, could do than Yunxian, which is to actually touch a woman while she's giving birth and to touch blood and stuff like that, which Yunxian isn't really supposed to do. And so it's about their friendship, but kind of the push and pull between one woman who has a lot of privilege or a lot more privilege and one woman who doesn't, and how one rises up and then the other rises up, and kind of that push and pull of their relationship as they go through life and their statures kind of start to change or shift. I will say, because they are training to be doctors or midwives and dealing with medicine, there is a lot of slightly more graphic medical situations going on. So if you're not comfortable with reading about childbirth or about medicine, especially in ancient times where they don't have the kind of modern medicine that we have today, and a lot of people don't survive things or get very bad illnesses and they do foot binding in China. And so for that reason, this is probably not for everyone if that's something that makes you uncomfortable. For me, I don't mind it. I worked for a medical school in communications, so like it doesn't bother me too much. I mean, it is hard to read. It should never be easy to read about people suffering, but it doesn't like turn me off of the book. And I like the characters. I think it's beautifully written. I think this one is probably her most intricately researched book. And one of my friends who read this said it, you don't get as much of that like emotional connection and really understanding these characters and really feeling like you're immersed in the times in like a more cultural way. And it's more much like the medicine of the time, how they treated disease, yin and yang, and feelings, and, you know, some of the ways they tried to diagnose people, you know, using their pulse and things that we don't do today because we have technology to do it for us, but they had to kind of look at it in a different way, Confucius ideas, that kind of thing. And so it's very intricately researched of the way medicine was handled in that time, which makes it a bit more technical or a bit more emotionally based than some of her other books, in my opinion, but I'm still enjoying it because I love her and I love everything that she writes. And so even her worst book, I still enjoy. I'm not saying this is her worst one, but even if she wrote something that really wasn't that great, I think I would still enjoy it. So I love Lisa C. Highly recommend her. If you've read her other books and you're a fan, you'll probably like this one. I'm not done yet, but I'm going to assume I'm going to still like it as I go through. And if you haven't read her stuff, maybe check out is it Snowflower and the Secret Diaries was one of her first ones that was really popular. I really liked Island of Sea Women, which came out before this one a few years ago. So there's some of her other books that you might want to check out. And if you like those, then definitely read Lady Tan's Circle of Women. And then the last one I picked up last night for a little bit, mostly because Lady Tan's Circle of Women is great, but I think most of Lisa C's books aren't like super happy. They're not funny, they're not happy. I mean, there's happy moments, there's good moments, they're not all they're not all depressive, but it's not, you know what I'm saying. Depressing, that's the word. But they're historical fiction, they're drama. There's, you know, bad things that happen and good things that happen and all of that. They're not light reads. So I needed something a little more light last night, so I grabbed Finley Donovan is Killing It. It's cute so far, it's pretty funny. This is one where you have to kind of suspend belief a little. And so basically Finley Donovan is divorced, she has 2 kids, and she is a writer, and she writes like romance, suspense, murder, mystery kind of books. And her life is kind of falling apart after the divorce. She can't pay her bills, the kids are driving her crazy, and she's just a mess. And one day she goes to meet her literary agent for lunch, and they're talking about her books and her next book, which she's having writer's block. She can't get into it, and she's behind on her deadlines. And so they're talking about books, and she writes about like murder and thrillers and stuff. So they're using that kind of language like, you know, kill him and do this and that. And earlier in the day, her child had decided to like chop off her hair and got blood on things, and she was trying to fix it. So she has like bloody napkins in her purse. And there's a woman sitting next to them, and she keeps looking at Finley, and Finley's like, why is this woman staring at me? And then the woman leaves, and Finley had gone to throw something out, and she sees a note at the table that she was sitting at with a name, a location, a phone number, and $50,000 written on it. So she's like, what is this? And at first she's gonna ignore it or toss it, but she decides to call the number, and basically the woman thought she was a hitman or a hit woman and wants her services to do away with her husband. And so Finley is kind of like, do I do it? And that's where I'm at in the book. And of course we know that, you know, from the back cover, that Finley decides like, oops, hang on. Ooh, I'm sorry about that. My phone decided to be weird for a second there. But anyway, so obviously we know she decides like, I think she goes forward with it. I think it says it in the back. Well, maybe not, but yeah. So she does decide to maybe become a hit woman. I don't know how it goes if she actually does kill people, but it's funny, it's light, and again, it's one of the ones where like you're gonna suspend disbelief and, you know, have fun with it. So far it's cute. I'm only 30 pages in, so we'll see. But sometimes you need something that's a little quirky. And I think that's everything. So hopefully, I feel like I was pretty organized during this video. It's been 3 weeks, but hopefully I wasn't too all over the place. It did have some texts from our agent and Alex popping up, so hopefully I wasn't too distracted by that. But I hope you're all doing well. Let me know what you're reading. Are you still in like a summer beach reading vibe? Are you kind of thinking of reading something more fall or Halloween or cozy novels? But let me know what you're reading, how you're doing, and I hope you have a wonderful next couple weeks. I'll try to be back in 2 weeks and hopefully that'll work out. So happy stitching and happy reading.